This year's US presidential election is set to be one of the most watched and controversial in US history, with at least 74 million Americans having already cast their ballot. Wonder how many of them want to change their mind. Most analysts claim that President Trump simply can't win re-election without winning Pennsylvania. Let's bring in our international panel. Joining me now, former Senator Cory Bernardi in Adelaide, and live all the way from State College in Pennsylvania, that bloke from the Sunday morning show, James Morrow. How are you, mate?
Great to see you, Rowan. How you going?
Really well, James. Hope you're having a great time. The president flipped the so-called Keystone State in 2016. He beat Hillary Clinton by less than 1%. Now he's trailing Joe Biden in the polls. So, what do you think the outcome will be there in Pennsylvania?
Well, look, we've been going around Pennsylvania, and the thing about Pennsylvania, Rowan, is that it's really two states in one. You know, you've got one state, which is the two big cities on either end, which are very Democrat, very lefty, very woke. But all through the middle of the state, Rowan, there's all of these people who are involved in the energy business. There's a lot of oil and gas. There's a lot of fracking. And there's a lot of people who are absolutely terrified that Joe Biden is going to come in and basically take away their jobs, take away their economy, and, you know, do what AOC promises to do with her Green New Deal. So Pennsylvania, I think, is very much on a knife edge. 20 electoral votes here. It's going to be the electoral college mechanism, Rowan, that gets Trump over the line. It won't be the popular vote because the Democrats are very skilled at running that up in the cities. So it's going to be the electoral college, and Pennsylvania, a lot is riding on it here.
Cory, your thoughts on this particular part of the race?
I believe that the Trump voter is more likely to turn out on election day. And what I'm encouraged by is how the pre-poll voting, the records that I've seen, is not anywhere near as skewed towards the Democrats in some critical seats as they would have us believe. So I really think that Trump's got a very good shot at this. In fact, I think he's going to get over 300 electoral college votes. And that will send, of course, the left completely ballistic.
And which lucky, law and order has re-emerged as a focus of the campaign. Lucky and not surprising, just days out from the election. So Joe Biden has condemned an outbreak of violence in the wake of the fatal police shooting of a black man in Philadelphia. Cory, first, the US president claims there would be more riots and civil unrest if Joe Biden wins the White House. Do you think this is fair?
I do, actually, because the Democrats have fueled this. Let's remember, they got behind the BLM movement. We had Kamala Harris, and I'm allowed to pronounce it Kamala because that's how she did, so I'm not being racist or sexist. She was helping to bail criminals out so they could go back on the rampage in the streets. So BLM, to me, doesn't mean Black Lives Matter. It means Black Looters Matter, because everywhere in America, the Democrats are hushing it up and saying they're peaceful protests. They're backed up by the media, and the only one who's calling it honestly is Donald Trump, and all hell will break loose if he wins. But I think that's a lesson America needs to learn.
James, you're there on the ground. Tell us what the law and order, what the atmosphere is like. Are people concerned about the riots? Are they a fringe thing, or is it part of people's everyday lives?
No. People are really concerned about this. People are not just concerned about the riots, but Cory is absolutely right. You know, the Democrats have at least a casual relationship with, if not a more formal relationship with, organizations that are out there promoting riots. There's groups like Shut Down D.C., which are planning riots in Washington, D.C. on Election Day, no matter the result. These are left-wing front groups that are all tied to various Democrat Party apparatuses. Talk to people on the streets here. People are really, really concerned, especially outside of the big cities, about defunding the police. This whole promise to, have social workers instead of cops driving around the streets. This really concerns a lot of people. And even in Pittsburgh, where we talked to a lot of lefties, we said, but what really does this defund the police thing? What does it really mean? And they all, when they start to think about it, you press and say, no, we actually still need cops. We still need cops. But the radical front of the Democratic Party is moving so far left that it's gone beyond that.
James, you're heading off to New York with Rita soon. New Yorkers are using the coronavirus eviction ban which was imposed by Andrew Cuomo, to dodge paying rent. Who'd have thought? What a surprise.
Who'd have thought? Who'd have thought that if the government tries to shut down the economy and then make all of these interferences in the economy, people are going to take advantage of it? So it's not just people who are, hard up paying their $450 a week or whatever it is. It's people who are renting huge mansions out in the Hamptons saying, hey, you can't evict us because COVID. So this is what a joke it has become here, and how many problems that we're going to see that have to be unwound now because of all of the economic interference in both shutting down and then trying to keep people going and then starting up this economy again, thanks to lunatic lefty governments like that of Andrew Cuomo and Bill de Blasio in New York.
Cory, just quickly, the shock jock Rush Limbaugh has issued a passionate plea. Let's have a quick listen to it.
We don't have a choice in this election. It's got to be Donald Trump. We're not going to have the kind of country everybody thinks we're going to have. This is not the old Republicans versus Democrats where we all have the same objectives, just different philosophies on how to get there. They do not have those objectives anymore. Their purpose is to erase the Constitution, start over, rewriting it, eliminating the concept of the citizen has rights which prevail over government. It's serious and it's scary. We don't have a choice.
Cory, we've only got a few seconds left, so just tell me what your thoughts are on what Rush was saying there. How important is this election?
This is critically important to the entire Western world. Rush's 4 decades of history of being right. This is probably one of his final broadcasts, and it's an extraordinary on message. The Democrats are socialists. They think they know what's good for you. They want to take away your freedoms. They want to take away your human rights and rule by the elites. We can't afford it because it will creep through the rest of the world if Joe Biden gets in.
James, we'll speak to you on Outsiders on Sunday. Can't wait to you and Rita. Thanks, Cory and James, so much for coming on Credlin this evening.